I'm a little discombobulated right now because of what we saw. Zena K to the pride of Yale. I'm Bonte Hill. Zena, we were watching the game thinking, how's this a game? It was ugly. And that final score, I don't think, really tells a story of this basketball game.
Yeah, you clock into the score and you're like, ooh, of course, this was an easy win for the Warriors. The Pacers don't have their people. They don't have a squad right now. Yeah, it was a little bit tougher than that score shows. And I'll say this, the young guys were really the ones that had to step up, particularly in that second half, just showing what happens when you can move off ball, when you get inside the paint and you can get easy buckets. But going through this game, ooh, it was a struggle. It was a battle for them.
But you know what? Will Richard, Moses Moody, Jimmy Butler helped change that energy midway through the third quarter, Fezzi.
Yeah, Bonte, I think what I saw in the second half was the Warriors trying to find a way to play the game without Steph. Offensively, Jimmy Butler now became the focal point. He became the ball handler. And as a forward, the way that you become the focal point is by drawing double teams, by getting to the post. A little slower, a little more methodical, but they did not turn the ball over. It's only 10 turnovers for the whole game for the Warriors, which has been a huge factor for them. Defensively, they turned it up. Now they're in the passing lanes. Will Richard was incredible. Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, all these guys did a great job. Got layups that way. In the second half, they blew the lid wide open.
And we saw Uncle Al hit some threes, right?
That's right. That's what happens when you move the ball, when you get into the paint. I thought Jimmy Butler did a great job getting to the paint early. He ended the first half that way, brought that into the second half. Fourth quarter, he really took over, and that was the big difference in the game.
I know at least 2 of Al Horford's threes were from Jimmy Butler penetrating into the paint, collapsing the defense, and Al Horford being able to react and be able to put the shot up. But I just loved, again, this is something that we've needed to see out of Al Horford, being able to knock down those open shots. Everything about this game was, okay, we've been struggling in the first half. We couldn't find easy buckets. We couldn't get open easily. And then in the second half, you saw the attention to detail, whether they went into that zone and things were just zipping a little bit better. They were trapping a little bit better on the corners. They just were so much more active in that second half. And I think they atoned a little bit for that first half.
I was not worried about Big Al. Big Al is a veteran in this league. I'm not worried about him.
You're never worried.
You were thinking about 4 for 6 from 3. I'm thinking about the 3 block shots on the other end. That's what he does. Defensively, I thought he was locked in. It's really interesting, though, that Al is strictly a three-point shooter now in this Warriors offense. But what I want to see more of, and it's what I saw in the second half, is the points in the paint. It's the penetration into the defense, making sure you get those easy ones. When you get the easy ones, those threes fall a little bit better and they fall a little easier as well.
Yeah, Al Horford bouncing back from an 0 for 8 game in Sacramento last week. A nice bounce back for him, and he'll go on a road trip feeling good. And he stopped by to speak to Fitz and Buki.
Yeah, especially when you go 4 of 6 from 3.
Go 4 of 6 from 3, and how about the bench? He helped lead the bench with an advantage of 57 and 30 when it came to point production because the starters, they struggled at times in this game, and midway through the third quarter again, Indiana came out on fire, made 5 made threes to take a 65-64 lead. Then Jimmy finding Al Horford to get him in rhythm. Again, he was coming off an 0 for 8 performance up in Sacramento, couldn't buy a basket, missed a game Friday night in Denver with the toe injury, but he came alive alongside Will Richard. It was the bench tonight as he fell that played their roles to a T.
Oh, give me that.
And we always said role players play a lot better at home. They'll need to take this act on the road.
That's a big shot right there by Will Richard. I thought he also came in and brought a lot of energy. The bench and energy, that's exactly what Steve Kerr was looking for. He needed some competition. You're going against an Indiana Pacers team that has a lot of their stars out. That means that their bench is going to come out with some fire, trying to earn some playing time. So you can't look at this as a trap game. The Warriors are trying to get their rhythm back. They're trying to figure out a way to play without Steph tonight. The guy who this whole offense is built around. Will Richard came in the game. He brought a lot of energy. I thought the second chance points was a huge indicator of how much energy the Warriors play with. Second chance points, 21-12. Says a lot about the energy the Warriors brought into that second half, especially the fourth.
Coming into this game, the 3 of us talked about the number one thing the Warriors need to figure out right now are adjusting, particularly when Steph is not on the floor. And in this game, we're talking about the bench right now. In the first half, there were 5 bench players that played. Buddy Hield, -8. Moses Moody, -4. Al Horford, -4. Pat Spencer, -1. They were the worst lineup when they were out there on the floor in the first half. What happens in the second half flipped. Buddy Hield +4, Moses Moody +22, Al Horford +9, Pat Spencer +11. Will Richard gets on the floor, +19. That's the adjustment you have to make. You've got to be able to realize when something's not working, when our defense isn't working, or when our offense isn't working, if we're not getting in the paint where we're not in the spots that we need to be. That's what you saw the bench do. And I think more than anything, no matter how many points they put up, how many points they limited Indiana to, it's the adjustment in the real time that's impressive, and it's a huge thing, an indicator for going on the road to be able to do that.
I mean, the way that you do stuff like that, the way you flip the game is you have to impose your will on the other team. Yeah. And I thought the Warriors did that, turning the ball over, turning the Indiana Pacers over. The Indiana Pacers take care of the ball.
They do.
Every game they average 13 turnovers a game, which is really good in this league. But tonight they had 20 turnovers. 11 of those were steals from the Warriors. 6 of those came from the bench. So the bench came into the game with a lot of energy, with a lot of force, with a lot of fire. Second chance points was huge, running the ball in second half, and those came from turning the Indiana Pacers over and really taking control of the game that way.
Warriors plus 14 when it came to points off turnovers. I want to stick with Will Richard for just a second. 20 minutes tonight, or 19 minutes and 29 seconds, 15 points, but it was the energy, it's the deflections, it's being in the right spots. He's pushing some of these guys for minutes here. He's already catapulted GP2 in a rotation. We didn't see much of GP2 tonight, 3 minutes and 52 seconds when the game was decided. Will Richard may get some starts moving forward. This upcoming road trip, I think there's a lot on the line for a lot of rotation players. And Will Richard is saying, hey, I need about 20 and 25 minutes a night.
I don't know if we can call Will Richard one of the young guys anymore. He plays with so much poise and so much confidence. He gets in the game. He takes care of the ball. He's in the right spot at all times, cutting off of guys on the team, playing to their strengths and using that to his benefit. I think he's showing all the capabilities of a player that you can trust. Yeah. And for Steve, when you're going through a skid, this is where you really know the players. When you go through adversity, this is where you really know what people are made of. And right now, he's showing that you can trust me, I can be in the game, and I can make an impact.
What I love about his poise at such a young age, too, is he's always making the right rotations, but he's also someone who can dribble drive and create off the dribble. Something the Warriors desperately need right now is someone that can get to the basket and not make turnovers or not make anything feel uncomfortable. He's working within the role of the offense to be able to create his shots. I mean, we saw that nice little pull-up step back that he had at the free throw line. These are the type of things that can really bring your stock up when it comes to this roster. You're talking about we didn't see much GP2. We didn't see any Jonathan Kuminga in that fourth quarter. And Will Richard came in, guarding Andrew Nembhard, being able to do his duty in that zone, and then be able to create as well.
Jonathan Kuminga, 4 of 19 in his last 2 games. Didn't play, as you mentioned, in the fourth quarter. Will Richard also got to the free throw line 8 times, making 7 of those freebies.
He's not scared of the moment. He comes out there, he takes those shots, and he's going to the basket. Like, that's the way you get fouled, is by going to the basket. And I've said it over and over. Those points in the paint is something the Warriors have been lacking severely right now. They're at the bottom of the league. I think bottom 2, bottom 4 in the league in points in the paint. Got to get that up so that you can get easier shots in the game.
Well, Jimmy Butler started getting buckets, and he started getting to the paint as well. Helped flipping that game in the third quarter. Jimmy Butler with an all-around solid night. 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Did it all.
As you mentioned, got Al Horford set up from the three-point line. It just said, you know what, I'm going to take it upon myself to really lead this team to a victory. We're not losing to the Pacers tonight, Zena.
7 assists, and that's what you need from Jimmy Butler. Not only being able to finish at the rim, force the issue at the rim. This team was huge. Indiana was all over the glass, and he was the main person getting to the rim, flashing, teaching everybody else that was out there with him. Move when the ball is not in your hands. And remember, that's sometimes not what we associate as Jimmy Butler with. We associate him with being able to hold the ball and assess how he wants to go about his ISO, but he was having such a balanced game tonight, being able to go ISO when he was in the post area for the split action, or being also able to just flash and get easy buckets from his teammates being able to see him.
I think that's one of the reasons why the turnovers are down. I think Jimmy slowed the pace down. This is a different pace. If you are playing with Jimmy Butler as the ball handler, he's going to slow it down a little bit, have you guys come ball screen, get into the middle of the paint, and find some guys. He'll post up, wait for the double team, or if you don't double team him, he's going to score. You saw that against Andrew Nembhard. You saw any of the players that they had guarding Jimmy Butler in the post, that's a mismatch. But if you double team him, then it creates for other guys. I thought Jimmy Butler did a little bit of everything tonight, and is exactly what the Warriors need to get this thing going again.
And what do y'all know? Indiana didn't win at Chase Center.
Woo!
First time. Since this building's open, the Pacers have been lost at Chase Center. We'll hear from Steve Kerr on the other side as the Warriors blitz Indiana in the fourth quarter, 39-18, and win this one going away.
Toyota Warriors Post-Game Live is presented by Toyota, class-leading MPG, and more hybrid models than any other brand. Toyota, let's go places.
You see it, you want it. it's yours. This Black Friday is the best time to get incredible savings on the Toyota you've had your eye on. Get an unprecedented low 1.99% financing plus $1,000 cash back on Tacoma, or a low-cost lease on Tacoma Double Cab, or get low 0.99% financing plus up to $1,000 cash back on Tundra. A smart decision stays with you, but move fast because these Black Friday deals will disappear soon. Toyota, let's go places.
'Twas the night before Spriteness, but feeling mad lame, cause Santa was out with a high ankle sprain. We needed a sub that was down for the cause. Then into the game came our man, Answer Claus. His task was not easy, but it had to be done. Sprite Winter Spice Cranberry for everyone. This limited Sprite made the holidays lit. As for once in his life, it hit nothing but brick. And they heard him exclaim as he peeked out of sight.
Merry Spritemas to all, and to all a good Sprite.
All right, let's check out the team stat comparison from tonight. Warriors end up shooting 43% after struggling in the first half. Still want to get that three-point percentage up. Pacers out-rebounded by 3, but the points off turnovers, 28-14, advantage Warriors. And look how many times they got to the free throw line.
Oh, look at that.
37 times. Missed 11 of them. However, I like the fact that they got to the free throw line 37 times as we welcome everybody back to Toyota Warriors Postgame Live here at the Gatehouse of Thrive City. Dub Nation's jacked up as the Warriors remain undefeated inside the Chase Center and go on this 6-game road trip. And it's going to be a problem. We won't be back here till November 21st. Can't wait to see what the Warriors record will be once they get back home. But let's talk about how they open up the game, especially early on, creating some open looks for the bigs. Quentin Post started knocking down some threes, as well as Al Horford. Break it down, Fezzi.
Oh, well, I love
Today on Warriors Nation News, buckle up, because we're diving into a story that has shaken this fan base to the core, a story that still carries emotion, nostalgia, debate, and a whole lot of pride. We're talking about the Warriors' separation from Klay Thompson, one of the greatest shooters ever, a franchise legend, a pillar of the dynasty, and why, 1.5 years later, this so-called divorce actually turned out to be one of the most important turning points in the modern Golden State era. Let's make one thing clear before we go any deeper. Klay Thompson is a Warrior forever. His jersey will hang in the rafters of Chase Center. His statue will one day stand outside that arena, capturing the spirit of a man who hit 11 threes in a playoff game, who put up 37 points in one quarter, who saved this team again and again with his heart, his stoicism, and his legendary confidence. None of that will ever change. Klay is family. But in the NBA, emotion doesn't always align with evolution, and sometimes a team has to make a painful decision to move forward, to adapt, to survive, and ultimately, to thrive. The Warriors did exactly that. And the crazy part? The results speak for themselves. Not just in Klay's individual decline, not just in the way Dallas has struggled, but in what Golden State has become since that decision. You don't need to agree with the move emotionally to understand this fact. The Warriors today look stronger, deeper, and more dangerous than they realistically could have been if they were still anchored to a declining veteran on a contract that would have blocked every major roster improvement they desperately needed. Let's rewind the tape. The beginning of the end came when the Warriors reportedly offered Klay a 2-year, $48 million extension before his final season in Golden State. For Klay, that number didn't feel right. For the front office, it was already more than they were comfortable with. The gap wasn't just financial, it represented different visions of the future. Klay believed he still had another gear. The Warriors believed they needed to adapt before time ran out. During the 2023-24 season, we saw signs of the shift. Klay was still good, let's not rewrite history. He averaged 17.9 points and 38% from three. Solid production for many players, but a drop from the elite sniper standards he had set. Then came the late February and March stretch when Steve Kerr made the unthinkable decision. Klay Thompson off the bench, not as punishment, not as disrespect, but as acknowledgement. Something had changed. The team needed different things. The dynasty had to evolve or fade. When July 1 arrived and Klay signed a 3-year, $50 million deal with Dallas in a sign-and-trade, it felt surreal. The same way it felt surreal to watch Andre Iguodala leave. The same way it felt surreal to watch Kevin Durant walk away. But the Warriors knew what they were doing. They had to. Because here's the truth that hurts. The version of Klay in Dallas is not the Klay we remember, and not the Klay this team needs. His first season in Dallas was rough. 14 points per game, the lowest since his rookie year, a drop in efficiency, a difficulty fitting next to a roster that lacks structure after the Luka Doncic trade. And now, this year has been even tougher. Career lows in minutes, in points, in shooting splits. A 26% three-point mark, something nearly unthinkable for the man who once owned the record for most threes in a quarter. And this isn't about blame. This isn't about disrespect. Klay Thompson tore an ACL, then an Achilles. He came back when many athletes would have broken. He fought. He competed. He gave everything he had left. But age, injuries, and time are undefeated. What matters here is what the Warriors did with the opportunity created by his departure. Losing Klay didn't just save money, it reshaped the entire identity of the team. Let's talk about what the Warriors built after the breakup. First, they secured Moses Moody on a bargain extension, a young player blossoming into a two-way menace. Then they brought in Jimmy Butler, the exact offensive creator they had been missing, someone who can run pick and roll, hunt mismatches, relieve Curry of constant double teams, and bring playoff toughness this roster has desperately needed. Then they locked in Jonathan Kuminga on a deal that wouldn't have been possible if they were carrying Klay's cap number. Then they added DeAnthony Melton, who turned into Dennis Schroeder, whose salary became essential in facilitating the Butler trade. It wasn't one move, it was a chain reaction, a butterfly effect. There is a version of this universe, not imaginary, but realistic, in which Golden State keeps Klay for $24 million per year, and as a result, does not have Butler, does not have Moody long-term, does not have Kuminga on a comfortable deal, does not have the flexibility to chase second-round gems like Quentin Post or Trace Jackson-Davis, and does not have the same modernized roster construction that we are seeing today. That alternate path, that version of the Warriors, that's the team still begging for more help for Stephen Curry. That's the team still relying on hero ball. That's the team still stuck in 2022, still running the same old plays, still hoping nostalgia can carry them through a Western Conference that is younger, faster, bigger, and more dynamic every year. Instead, Golden State hit refresh, and the results have been undeniable. Look at the young core now. Jonathan Kuminga is playing the best basketball of his life, showing star-level scoring whenever Steph Curry is off the floor. Moses Moody has turned into a physical, confident, consistent contributor. Quentin Post is giving them stretch 5 minutes that Klay's salary slot would have made impossible. Trace Jackson-Davis is playing with force and IQ that fits perfectly next to the Warriors' movement system. And above all else, Jimmy Butler has been the offensive engine this team needed in years when Steph Curry had to do absolutely everything. With Butler, the Warriors have a second creator, a closer, a playoff weapon, a leader that brings accountability and toughness the team sometimes lacked in recent years. The Warriors didn't just survive the Klay breakup, they used it to rebuild a foundation. Look at the 2025 playoff run. They knocked off the Rockets. They pushed Minnesota until Curry's injury. They showed flashes of a team that wasn't old and stale, but dangerous, unpredictable, deeper, and more complete than they had been since the dynasty's prime. And the best part is, they're not done, not even close. Klay Thompson's legacy in Golden State is untouchable, but when franchises cling too tightly to nostalgia, they die with it. When they evolve, when they adapt, when they make decisions rooted in growth instead of comfort, they rediscover who they truly are. The Warriors rediscovered themselves. They rediscovered urgency, physicality, modern spacing, aggressive defense, and roster flexibility. They rediscovered the hunger. They rediscovered a future. And the moment they chose to move forward, the moment the divorce became official, the door opened to all the moves that have made this team not just relevant again, but legitimately threatening in the Western Conference. And now the question flips from, did the Warriors make the right decision letting Klay go, to, would the Warriors even be contenders today if they didn't? The answer is clear. The answer is obvious, and the answer is exactly why this story, as emotional as it is ultimately one of gratitude, evolution, and hope. Warriors fans, what do you think? Did the breakup with Klay help spark this new chapter? Do you feel the team is stronger, deeper, and more modern now than it was 2 years ago? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you love Warriors Nation news, hit that like button, subscribe, and help this community grow. Because here in the Bay, the journey never ends, and neither does the love for this team.